Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Okay, first off, as always, thank you so much to every single one of you who like, comment, subscribe, and continuously follow me and watch my videos. I appreciate all of you so much, and it means so much to me to have you supporting me and following me, watching me through this journey that I am going on in my life, basically. If you are new here, my name is Janessa, and I'm just a lifestyle vlogger. I talk about my life and I share about things that I find aren't always shared about. Some are, some aren't. As well as I touch on some sensitive subjects once in a while. And if you're not new here, welcome back. Okay, so before I get into it, Bentley is napping still. And I just want to say this is insane because he never naps this long. Okay, so today's video is... okay, it's a hard one. I'm probably gonna tear up a few times. But it's something that I am really passionate about talking about now that I am a mom and now that I have and am experiencing it. It's also something that I don't find is shared enough about, but no, how do I want to say this? So it is shared about, it is talked about, but at the same time it's not, and it's still something that people feel shame over or don't want to share because like it's just something that still has that stigma around it to be ashamed of or to hide, and I don't think we should do that anymore. I also did not find a whole lot of videos on YouTube of women talking about this, so I thought that I would be the first, well, not the first, but I would put it out there and expose myself. If you have any rude comments, just don't watch and don't leave comments because I will delete them and I don't need to see any rude comments. I am going to fully share and open up about my postpartum journey, mentally wise speaking, with you guys from day one and really go over it. I have a couple videos that explain things kind of month by month, how I was going through things. But I'm at a certain point now where this is what I'm dealing with, and I will be dealing with it for a long time, probably. I'm really discovering more about myself, and so I'm going to share my overall journey with my postpartum if Bentley doesn't wake up because he's starting to stir in the bed right now. Okay, so when I first had Bentley, I was warned that I might get the baby blues. If you don't know what the baby blues is, it's basically the first couple weeks after you have your baby where you miss being pregnant, you miss your life before you had your baby, and you're just kind of overall a little bit sad and finding it a little bit difficult to adjust to your new life now that your baby is here. It's totally normal. Almost every single woman experiences it, and it goes away after a few weeks. Had part of the baby blues, but not a whole lot of it. I really enjoyed having Bentley here. I mean, I really enjoy having Bentley here, sorry. But I didn't really experience like a crazy amount of baby blues. About a month into postpartum, I had started to experience, sorry, I'm just watching him on the monitor. He's kind of starting to stir in the bed. I started to experience what they call postpartum psychosis. So I made a whole video very much describing what postpartum psychosis is. So postpartum psychosis in short is where you think you see or hear things, always feel like someone's watching you, you have a hard time with dark, stuff like that. So it's like you're really scared all the time, like your worst nightmares are coming true, or like someone from a scary movie is coming forward kind of thing. If you want like a full description on everything I went through, definitely go watch my video that is fully dedicated to postpartum psychosis. So I experienced postpartum psychosis for the first month and a half maybe, and then it started to go away. Again, big dedication to Bryce because he did anything and everything in his power to really help me get through that time because it was really hard for me. But he is so so amazing. So after that kind of passed, I started to think things were on the up. Mentally, I was starting to feel a lot better. I was starting to adjust. I wasn't having any of the symptoms of psychosis anymore. I was starting to be able to not have so many night lights on, walk around in the house at night without being afraid, etc., etc. And then I started to get really, I guess I wouldn't even say sad, because I didn't feel like that overwhelming feeling of sad, but I just felt heavy. Like it's just so much. There's so much. And of course, you're navigating motherhood, and every single day is different, and there's always something new happening, and your baby always needs something more. And it is a lot. It's a lot. So I kind of put it off. I kept like shoving it to the back, because I was like, this is motherhood. Like, you have to get used to it. But then things started to kind of progressively get worse. So I felt a heaviness. I was crying a lot. I started really not feeling like myself. I was starting to feel detached. And so when I mean detached, it would be like Bentley would be playing on the floor, and I usually sit like right there or a little ways away from him to give him like his alone time. And he would be crying, and in the back of my head, I'm telling my body, you need to pick him up. You need to comfort him. But my body's not responding. Like, it's like I'm physically there, but I wasn't there. So that's what I mean by I started to be detached. And it wasn't like it was long, like it was seconds, and I would kick back into gear and push it aside and, be a mom, because that's what I have to do. But it started out as maybe once in a while happening, and then it was getting more frequent, and the heaviness was getting worse. And so the detachment, the heaviness, the crying, that then I started to feel frustration. Now, frustration as a new parent, as a parent in general, I'm pretty sure even my dad now at 27 years, like I'm 27 years old, and I'm pretty sure my dad has frustration with me even now. So, but just the frustration started to grow, and then I started to be angry at every little thing. While in the back of my mind, I'm like, Bentley's a baby. Like, he doesn't know, you can't be angry at him. So I'd be angry at everything else and everybody else for absolutely no reason at all. I was just so angry. And then because I just didn't understand why I was feeling this anger, why I was feeling detached, why I was feeling just so heavy and so weighted, then I'd really break down, and I'd really, really, really start to cry, and really, really, really start to have a hard time. And there were days where Bryce would come home, I'd have to hand him Bentley, I'd go in the bathroom, and I'd break down, and I'd cry for half an hour, sometimes longer, and I'd hyperventilate, and I'd really, really, really it really started to get worse and worse and worse, and harder and harder and harder for me to cope. And it got to the point where Bryce was starting to get really, really worried, and I was too, because I can tell Bryce anything, and I really open up to him. But then he's like, I'm not here all day, right? So who's here to help me or to listen to me get through these moments that I have? And understandably, I get that he was worried about me and worried about Bentley. And that frustrated me. Like, why? I don't know. But him being concerned about us made me feel heavier. It made me feel like a horrible mom. It made me feel like he didn't trust me. It made me sad. It made me upset. It made me just even worse than I already was. And so at that point, there was one night where I really snapped. In the middle of the night, Bentley wasn't sleeping. Nothing was working. And I just was like, oh my God, kid, like, go to sleep. And then I started crying, and Bryce ended up getting up, and I just was a disaster. I was a mess. And I realized, I'm like, yeah, I need to listen to Bryce. I need to go and talk to a doctor, because I don't feel like me. Like, I didn't even, like, as a new mom, you really struggle with who you are or your identity anymore. And I wasn't recognizing me, but I also wasn't recognizing the mom, Janessa. Like, I wasn't recognizing either of that. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know anything. I just felt so far gone. It was like the inside of me was screaming out for help, but outside I just was emotionless. And I just felt so trapped and so helpless. And then that made me feel like a bad mom too, because I couldn't get this under control. And it was just a mess. And I also realized, like Bentley feeds off of all my emotions. So I really wasn't helping him at all either. So I ended up going to a doctor. I've been diagnosed with, it's under postpartum depression. It's a part of it. And so I am on medication. I'm proud to say it. I know that lots of people aren't, but I am on medication to help me kind of get my emotions in check. If I back up a bit, I also wasn't sleeping. I wasn't able to sleep even when Bentley was sleeping. I just lay there wide awake at night. I couldn't sleep during the day. My mind was always churning. I couldn't sleep. And then mixed with all of that going on, I have anxiety. If you didn't know that, if you haven't watched any of my videos, I have anxiety. And so I was like, my anxiety was like in full gear while I was dealing with all these crazy hormonal emotions. So yeah, went to the doctor, diagnosed with postpartum depression, a strand of it, and I am on medication for it. Doesn't affect my milk, doesn't affect Bentley, but it helps me. So basically, it's kind of like, it deals with postpartum depression, like in that group of everything I would describe to the doctor and you guys that I was feeling, but it also helps me with my anxiety and get myself back into check, because when you have anxiety, it's like your mind is constantly always going. Like for me, it's always going, and there's always something, and you're always doubting yourself. And my mind, I couldn't grab a hold of it. Like I couldn't get it to stop. I couldn't get, like, normally, say I can't sleep at night and there's a song in my head. Normally I could be like, okay, that's enough, and just go think sleep and deep breaths, and I'd fall asleep. But I couldn't do that before. It was nonstop, and it didn't matter what I did. And it was just insane. It was a lot. It just was very, very overwhelming. It was like being in a crowded room with a bajillion things going on and everything needing you. And it was just, it was a lot. So I'm on medication for it. I'm not going to disclose the name or anything like that. And it has helped tremendously with me being able to get my emotions in check. So I, of course, always have that like feeling once in a while, am I a good mom? Am I doing this right? But that's normal. My anxiety is never going to go away. I know that. I am back in counseling once a week over the phone with a counselor to help me with my anxiety. I'm working on, I guess you would call it self-meditating. I call it cool down. So just really noticing or like in tuning with my body to know when I'm getting to a certain point of overwhelmed or stressed, or I'm starting to get upset about nothing, really checking in with myself and focusing on, if there's a point to this, why am I feeling this way? Let's relax, let's let it go. So I don't get to that crazy point where I explode. And then, the meds just really, really help with all the other emotions I was having, like the anger and the heaviness and the sadness. It's helped with all of that. I know, like, I no longer feel that heaviness, and I no longer feel the anger, and I don't feel sad, unless I think about sad things or something sad happens. So I'm feeling overall a lot better. It also has helped me be able to get hold of my brain again so that I can sleep at night. So overall, I'm feeling a lot better. But the reality of this is I have postpartum depression. I have really bad anxiety. Some people get very angry about it, or, like embarrassed, don't want to share. I really wanted to share this with you guys. I did really good. I didn't even tear up. I really wanted to share this with you guys because it's not put out there. And a lot of people will say, oh, I've had postpartum depression, but they don't elaborate on those feelings. And so I really wanted to do that for you guys, because it hasn't always been that joyful, perfect time. It's been a roller coaster. And I know with or without the postpartum depression and anxiety, it would be a roller coaster. But with the postpartum and the anxiety, it's even more of a extreme roller coaster. And it's been hard. It's been hard for me to accept that I have what people would classify as a mental illness, and told you exactly the things I was feeling and going through and how I'm managing it. So that is my story on my postpartum mentally, how it's been going. Like I said, things are going much better now that I'm on medication, that I'm talking to a counselor once a week, and that I'm really checking in with myself more. You know, it hasn't been easy, but I am very, very blessed to have the amazing people I do in my life that are completely 100% understanding. And, you know, they're there for me and they get it and they listen. You know, even if they haven't gone through it, they listen to me and they let me get it off my chest. And I just don't think I'd be able to get through any of this without these amazing people in my life to understand me, to listen to me, and, you know, make me feel like I'm not crazy and I don't have issues, and that I'm not psychotic, and I'm not a bad mom, and that I'm totally normal. Thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. If you have any comments or suggestions or concerns, leave them down below. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can always message me privately if you feel like it. If you don't want to, that's totally fine. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up / like button on this video if you enjoyed it, or I don't know, if you feel like it was a good idea for me to share about it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on your way out, which makes sure that you always get my most recently uploaded video. And that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Hope it helps. Hope it educates some or makes people braver to share or whatever. I just hope that all of you stay healthy and safe out there in this crazy world right now. And we will see you all next time.